I can break an apple in half with my bare hands.
David's team.
What is your technique?
I take it in the hands.
Yes. Are your hands bare at this point?
Of course they're bare.
Yes.
Friction's very much part of this this equation. You must pull it, I'm going to say east to west. A lot of people think you need to twist. You don't need to twist.
You don't need to twist.
Really?
You just
don't need to
pull apart.
Pull it apart.
How do you get the
Pull the
grip?
apple apart.
Won't your hands just slide away from it? I'd have thought you'd need to twist.
If you twist, you fail. Twisting equals tears.
So you just grip the apple in your hands and then fling them apart, and you have two half apples.
No, I rip it apart.
Yeah.
The way you were miming it then, there's like downward pressure from the thumbs, almost as if you're trying to open it like a book.
Yeah.
Is that what it's like? Because I can believe that more than the just grip, bang!
Yes. No, David, that's fair enough. Yes.
It's just sort of, you're almost like, you insert...
Oh, but I so wish it was bang. It's not.
No, you're inserting the thumbs to try and pull it apart that way.
No insertion.
All right.
No, but that's
downward
the grip.
pressure.
Downward pressure, and there it is.
Yeah. So where are the thumbs? Are the thumbs either side of the stalk?
You know where the thumbs are, David.
Where are the thumbs either side of the stalk?
Yes.
No insertion or penetration? Just,
No, absolutely not. No, the thumbs are used for gripping, not for ripping. That's what I was taught. And if you remember that...
The system comes with a catchphrase.
If you can remember that, you too will be parting apples.
How long have you done this for?
I have done it for a long time. What I used to do to entertain was I used to take hard-boiled eggs, peel them, I can still do it, and I could take the shell off in one. And you actually peel the membrane rather than trying to... Don't be all rough-handed and don't, you know, take your time. Off it comes bang.
And when did you...
That's the correct way to present. With an apple, it's this.
When did you first discover that you could do the apple? How did it come about? How did it come to be?
I can't remember the first time I did it. I can remember the feeling. But I can't remember the first time I did it.
What was the feeling?
The feeling was magnificent.
Right, David, is that the truth?
I don't think so, but it could be. Can we leave it at that?
Yeah, that's fine. OK, on to the next round. No, we can't.
I agree with that. I'd love to see him do... I hope it's true, because then they'll make him do it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah. If it's not true,
Make
will
him
they
do
make
it
him
anyway.
try?
So what's it going to be?
Oh, I really want it to be true, but it isn't true, I don't think.
You can't pull an apple apart, can you?
You can't just rip it in half. I so want you to be able to.
If you and I can't, sure.
And I can't.
I've never tried.
Have you ever tried?
If I had an apple here, and I could have a few
But I think
goes.
if those two can't do it, David, with the greatest respect, it's highly unlikely you're going to pull it off.
Tremendously, frighteningly strong hands, as I found out to my own cost. So you think it's a lie, then?
I'm afraid I do,
OK,
yeah.
well, I'll go with the giant.
You're going to say it's a lie? All right, you're saying it's a lie. Bob, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
I was telling the truth.
Yes.
Do it.
Well, guess what I've got under the desk? My trusty box of apples. It's a proper apple. Ready,
Yes.
Bob?
It's a big one.
Thank you. Not you, him.
Does your husband play cricket?
I love that sort of thing. Where shall I do it?
I really hope he can't do it. Yeah!
Whoa!
I once upset a lot of people after I was hired to film a wedding. Something I'd entirely forgotten.
David's team.
Who hired you to film their wedding?
A very good friend of mine who saw something in me. He was called Dr. King.
All right.
And he had an act. He was a comedian. It was his stage name.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he had little toy rabbits, little furry rabbits on the end of string, about 10 of them. And he would tell a joke. I bought my granddad a snowboard for Christmas. He's been going downhill ever since. And then swing the rabbits.
Right.
Put too much petrol in my car the other day. I couldn't get in it. That was his act.
Someone married this man.
Did I say he was married?
Well, you were...
You did say it was his wedding.
You asked me who asked me to film a wedding.
OK, I think I asked you who asked you to film their wedding.
Well, in that case, I apologise. I've behaved very badly.
OK, Dr. King commissioned you to film someone else's wedding.
Yes.
OK.
I obviously was drawn to Dr. King on account of the rabbits, but also his personality. He was...
Isn't that older, yeah?
Yeah. I don't know why I'm telling you about him, other than the fact I found myself living with him.
What?
And he was a professional gambler. He made his living betting on the horses.
Right.
He would only make a few bets a year. It could be as little as 5. He also did videos of weddings.
And you lived with him?
I lived with him, yeah. He drank 5 pints of milk a day.
That's a lot of milk.
Isn't it a lot of milk?
Wow. At what stage in your life did you live with Dr. King?
I was probably about 30 years old, I think.
What was his real name? Because you say Dr. King was his stage name as a comedian.
Yeah. I'll say Jerry Knuckles.
OK.
I don't want to say
So
his real
obviously
name.
he had to change it to something more amusing for his comedy work.
I'll tell you what's interesting. Nothing to do with the story. His girlfriend was one of the Teletubbies.
Which one?
The green one.
And you said he would only make about 5 bets a year. How do you make enough money from that?
Big bets.
Is that his girlfriend's name? Dr. King and big bets are coming around for lunch again.
There you go. So obviously that's true.
So he ran a business videoing weddings and similar events.
Yes,
did he?
and one Saturday I was asked to go along and be one of the 2 cameras. So I went to this wedding and he said, go down the front and get the bride coming in.
You mean filmer?
Filmer, yeah.
All right. You mean kidnapper?
And you said this angered a lot of people.
No, that didn't anger anyone. What you do is, in those days, is you didn't edit videos, you just gave them all the footage. I go home back to the flat to transfer the little cassettes that are in the VCR onto a VHS.
Onto a VHS. So what happens then?
I did what I was meant to do.
Yes.
Handed it over to the family. And then the next morning... Did it say I upset someone? The next morning, there was a knock on the door, like the police.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang. And it was the father of the bride.
Oh, no, what had you done? What was the footage?
Exactly.
Oh, no.
Because the VHS that I gave to the family was a recording of a horse race. So when they turned it on to show the family, it went, and they're off!
Because you had recorded the wrong thing?
I know I'd taken the wrong VHS, which was one of This ties in! Because it was one of Kingley's horse racing.
But you transferred it from the small cassette that
Yes.
goes in the camera to a VHS.
Yes.
And then just picked up a different VHS.
I mean, it's a long time ago. My memory's fleeting, a bit like a mouse's tear on a hot griddle.
Did you still have the right VHS in the flat? Because that could have resolved matters quite quickly.
Absolutely did. But he did say to us, you've behaved very badly and you should be ashamed of yourselves.
How did the father of the bride know where you lived?
It's on our letterheading. Perhaps.
Yeah. Michelle, what do you reckon?
The thing is, the story is absolute nonsense. Like, it's ridiculous.
No, actually, when you get into it...
That's what I'm
the
saying.
milk and rabbits aside, it's just Bob took the wrong VHS.
Yes.
If you imagine I once mixed up 2 VHSs, we'd think that was plausible, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Let's move on.
So do you think Bob's been telling you the truth?
I don't want to talk on that subject. You happy to go true?
Yeah. Me gut's saying lie, but...
You think lie, you think true.
Yeah.
We're going to say true. We're going to say true, and then I've just got some things to do. So that's fine. You can let me know at some point.
You're 100% on this?
Yeah, I've said what I've said.
Oh. That's your decision. You're saying it's true.
I'm just trying to... You know, there's a bigger picture. It's a troubled world out there. I think I'm going to address that.
And we'll live with the consequences.
Absolutely.
OK, they say it's true. Bob, was it true or was it a lie?
I was telling the truth.
It's true. Bob did upset a lot of people when he filmed a wedding.
I must say, that is gratifying.
For my first term at university, I rented the bathroom in a student house and slept in the bathtub every night.
Lee? Greg?
Yes.
Before we even start this, can you stand up?
There'll be no... Unless David stands up with me, there'll be no perspective.
David? In fact, let's have proper perspective. Connie, can you stand up? You know the question.
Yeah.
What's the answer?
Well, I just hung off the end of the bath, as I hang off every single bed that I've ever slept in.
No. You definitely don't hang off a bath like you hang off a bed. Because a bed go like that, and then you hang off.
Yeah.
You'd have to go up and cross and hang off. It's tall, but you're not a snake, Greg.
The thing what actually drove me to change my circumstances was that I was bruising the side of my cheek regularly by waking up in the morning and clanging into one of the taps.
Can I ask why on earth you would sleep with your head at the tap end? That is mad.
Yes, well, you know, I was 18 years of age and I mainly lived off Thunderbird wine, so bad decisions were my forte at that period.
So did you have a bed
No.
in the house? Did you? Oh, so that was the reason you was in the bath.
There was a.
Why do you think he was in the bath?
I chose to, Phil. Yeah.
How many other people were there in the flat?
3.
3 people. What? 3 beds?
Yeah.
Why would you not sleep on the floor next to the bath?
We had a giant 1970s sofa that had a peculiar corner unit, and I took both cushions from that corner unit and they fitted in the bath perfectly, and it was incredibly comfortable.
So hang on, it wasn't a freestanding bath?
A roll top?
Yeah, was it a roll top freestanding bath?
It wasn't a freestanding bath, but the end of the bath projected out into the room.
Where was this, Greg? Which town was this, Oxford or Cambridge?
It was in Isleworth in West London. It was only because of a mix-up in housing agreements. We soon sorted out after a term. I only had to do it for a term.
What was the mix-up?
I'd agreed to move in with these 3 guys and we got the wrong size house.
Hang on, that's not a mix-up, that's just stupidity. There was 4 of you, and you got a 3-bedroom house. Been a bit of a mix-up,
The boys blamed me, which is why I got the bath.
Why did they blame you?
Because I was the one who booked the house.
How did you get into university?
So, Lee, what are you thinking?
Marcus?
I think it's too preposterous to be true.
The taps.
Phil?
Taps for me, you don't. If you're going to sleep in a bath, you don't put your head up the tap.
I think it might be true, but I'm not going to over...
Oh, well, you're the skip. You've got the armband, son.
I might be the
Do
skip.
you get armbands if you're a captain?
Only if you can't swim.
I'm telling you, I don't know if this is in the spirit of this game, this is true.
That was sufficiently moving. I'm going with it. I'm saying it's true now.
What are you saying, Skippy?
Should we say true?
True.
Not Skippy, Rob, not Skippy. That's no good, right? I'm not going to go and go and fetch help. I'm a skip, right?
Someone's fallen into a mine shaft.
We're going to go for true.
Go on, mate.
True. Change it to true. We'll change it. We're going for true.
You're saying it's true. Greg Davies, were you telling us the truth or were you telling a lie?
Do you feel, David, any sense of genuine competition in this game?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Then I think you're going to like me very much. It was a lie.
Yes, it was a lie. Greg didn't sleep in his bathtub every night for his first term at university.
While on a camping holiday in France, I invented a game my family and I couldn't stop playing. We call this game Milky Cow.
David's team.
Well, to explain the rules of Milky Cow.
I feel I should probably start with the origin of Milky Cow. Would you?
No need, just get straight to the detailed rundown of the rules, and then we can do the background later.
Milky Cow is essentially...
Don't look at me.
It's a test of the strength of your lungs, really, because a player in Milky Cow would breathe in as deeply as they can and then breathe out whilst constantly saying the phrase Milky Cow. If you stop, then you're out. This is working, right?
Yes, yes.
So it's the person who continually says Milky Cow for the longest is the winner.
Right.
So if let's say, imagine we're your family camping.
We weren't camping. We were in a hotel, Claudia, but carry on.
If you want to revert back to your car.
Hey, hang on. Yes, refer back to your card for a moment.
Oh, we were camping.
You might want to keep that face up. First rule of What I Lied to You, always keep the card face up.
I would say that Milky Cow was played for many summers. And it was played in hotels and camping. It was the origins, actually. We were in a sort of chalet in a mobile home.
Can we play Milky Cow?
Absolutely,
let's play it. So go on.
I'm going to... You're not going to ask me, so I'm going to tell you the origins because it's relevant. My sister saw a lady on the same chalet area in the south of France.
Yeah.
And she was a perfectly normal-looking girl, but my sister said, "Look at that Milky Cow." And when we all looked at her, she had quite bovine features. Every day we saw her, and Milky Cow became exaggerated every time we saw her. So the first time we saw her, my sister went, "Look at that Milky Cow." We all went, "Oh." And maybe on the third or fourth day...
Yeah. Yeah.
My sister just naturally went, Milky Cow. And then we all started driving past her and going, Milky Cow. And as the days went on, it became Milky Cow. Eventually... Oh, I've been on this show for 5 minutes, I already feel insane. Eventually, it became a test of who could say the longest.
Right.
So, do you want to...
Of course.
Play?
Well, you say that it's addictive, so I imagine if I start now, I'm off.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe we'll stop playing Would I Lie to You. It'll be like a footnote in the history of the incredibly successful television programme Milky Cow. But for the first 11 or 12 series, it was another game called Would I Lie to You? What's the point in all those lies and truths? Let's just all go Milky Cow for hours and hours and hours, because it turns out to be the most entertaining and addictive thing you can imagine, and heroin sales will go through the floor.
Greg, over to you.
I feel a little on the ropes after that. Ready?
OK.
3, 2, 1, breathe in.
agreed, then, that Milky Cow is a brilliant game?
Awesome.
The question is, was it invented several years ago in the south of France, or was it invented a few minutes ago here? You think it might be true?
Well,
I mean, it's false. Most deaf. You're chatting, bro, but I think you developed an amazing game on the spot. So, I mean, if there's half a point for that, I don't know how it worked, but yeah.
There are no bonuses for product development. I think it's unlikely to be true.
yes, agreed.
Are you saying lie?
You happy to go lie?
Yeah, of course, You're chatting, yeah.
Okay, you're saying lie. Right. Greg.
Lie.
Milky
Lie.
Cow.
Yes.
The south of France. A mobile chalet. Truth or lie?
Well, I am delighted to introduce Milky Cow to the national stage, because it's true.
Yes. Yes. Rejoice, it is true. Greg did invent a family game called Milky Cow.
Dear me.
Claudia is first up.
OK. Oh. Good. I once put nail polish remover in my fish tank to give my goldfish more energy.
Ladies team, quiz her relentlessly.
When was this?
I was small. I was 5, 6 when I had goldfish. They were lovely, sweet things.
What happened to the goldfish?
They were fine. They were fine.
They survived?
Yes. I didn't put the whole bottle in. I just put a tiny, just like a little bit, just to give them a bit more pizzazz.
I should say at this point to people who might be watching at home or just in Dixon's window that we don't encourage interfering with fish in any way.
How many goldfish did you have?
I had 2.
2 goldfish. What were they called?
Rabbit and cat.
What was your rabbit and your cat
cat called Dog?
No.
Was your mum called Dad? Why did you think it would give them energy?
Because I thought they were looking a bit sleepy and they were never really doing enough hoo-ha. So I put it in a bridge, and what you want them to do is play hide and seek and hide under the bridge and then come up and go weave through the green, the pond life, the water, the plants.
Yes. Do you think David Attenborough's job is threatened by you?
The point is when you buy freshly cut flowers, they often say put in an aspirin or some nail polish remover, and it will just make them for longer.
Whoa. I've never heard that.
I've heard aspirin, but not...
Why would you give aspirin to flowers?
Because they got a headache.
I think it's their feet that are hurting, surely.
So that's when you see a bunch of flowers, you think they're silently going, my feet!
Well, no. What they're actually saying is, where the hell are my feet? My ankles are killing.
As you'd know if you're an amputee, you can still get an itch in the bit of you that's been cut off.
You're going to have to work on your catchphrases, David.
You've heard the story. I know what I think. I can't share that with you because I have to remain impartial.
Do you know?
We've never asked Rob this, but what do you think, Rob?
I think Claudia needs 24-hour care. Anyway, to return to what we were concerned with a moment earlier.
I don't know. I can imagine a child doing something like that.
Yeah.
I can't believe it would work, would it?
Drive them distraction. It broke flapping around that big crazy...
Well, then it worked then, didn't it? It did work. It did have more energy. Did they?
Okay,
So what are we going for, Clive?
Well, I think it's a lie.
What do you think?
It's a lie.
Well, then I'll go with my team and say that it's a lie.
Saying it's a lie. OK, Claudia Winkleman.
Yes.
True or false?
It is, in fact, a truth.
Yes, it was true all along. Claudia did once put nail polish remover in her fish tank to give her goldfish more energy. That was the last time in her life that Claudia Winkleman wasted a single drop of makeup.
For one episode of The Traitors, I gave myself a fake tan using gravy granules.
Please, team.
Wow. OK, do you have a normal fake tan?
I didn't have it there because I was in the castle, so what I thought was, let's use something.
Was there a brand or a type of gravy?
I don't think I'm allowed to say a brand, but yeah,
Well, because you can't think of one. Was it early on in the record? Was it the first episode?
It was not the first episode. It was, I don't know, like Ep 5,
Oh,
round table.
Fine.
In you go. You know what I mean. You're wearing tweed. What do you need? Correct. Granules.
What about the first 4 episodes?
The first 4 episodes, it was quite sunny.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't sunny.
What did you do for the first 4 episodes?
This is very good. I had a spray.
Right.
Like, I don't know why you're, like, so obsessed with detail.
So this is the question.
It's so suffocating.
spray,
Like, be cool, be cool. Go with the wind.
You know,
I went up. Traitors, gravy granules, move on.
If you're ever up for a crime, never talk like this in court.
Yeah. Have you said where the gravy granules came from?
Yeah, a shop.
Oh, weren't you in the middle of nowhere, weren't you, up there?
Yes, but there are shops there.
Oh, this story's getting worse. So you realise you haven't got any stuff, and you go, someone rush out quickly and get me some. We'll get you the stuff you usually... No. Just for no reason whatsoever, don't rush out and get the stuff I usually use. Get gravy granules just on the off chance it's good. Surely that story works if you happen to have them on you.
Oh.
You're not going out for them.
Everyone stop speaking.
There you go. Look what you're doing now with your hair. Why didn't you just do that on the show instead?
What do you think, Jessica? Does this strike you as true?
Yes. I mean, whatever you think.
If this is true, I will never believe anything anyone says ever again.
What do you think, Mike? Is it true?
I'd love to believe it. I think it's probably untrue, though.
Makes it easy for you, Lee.
It's just all hinges on the one thing. You need to rush out, please, and get me some gravy granules, was the bit where it faltered. And everything else you said.
You're saying it's a lie?
100%.
OK, they quite conclusively think it's a lie. Was it a lie, or were you actually telling the truth?
It is true.
Yes, it's true. Claudia did give herself a fake tan using gravy.
For 3 weeks, I was listed as a missing person by Interpol.
Wow.
When did this happen?
In the mid-90s.
Where were you? Had you actually disappeared?
I was in Morocco.
What were you doing there?
I was on a bike ride in Spain.
You were on a bike ride in Spain in Morocco.
Can I have a moment to chat with my client?
What happened was, I met someone in Spain on a train. A Moroccan
So hang on,
man.
was this bike ride in Spain happening on the train? It was like, because I know that you get those Spanish bike rides on trains in Morocco. It's probably one of those.
No, there was bad weather, and that's why I took the train from the north of Spain to the south of Spain, because apparently, according to the local newspaper, there was better, more agreeable bicycling weather.
How did you then get into Morocco, though?
That is because I met that Moroccan bloke on the train.
Which Moroccan bloke?
Yeah, does he have a name?
I can't quite remember, but it was Mohammed or something.
But Mohammed the Moroccan, you met on the train in Spain.
He asked me if I wanted to join him to go to Morocco. And then I thought, well, I've never been outside Europe. In for a penny, in for a pound.
So you were picked up by a strange Moroccan on a train and agreed to go back to Morocco with him.
What's the worst that can happen?
How did you find out that you were on the Interpol list?
I realised only once I rang my parents, once I was back in Spain. And I rang my parents, and for them it was like someone found them from beyond the grave.
So why didn't you ring your parents from Morocco?
Because man, that Mohammed, he
You remember Mohammed, don't you?
Yeah.
He was the man on the train.
The Moroccan on the train.
The Moroccan on the train who
Yeah.
invited him back to his house.
So and then when I was staying with Mustafa and his family...
From what port did you leave Spain and into which port did you enter Morocco?
Question. Well, we left Spain, if I remember correctly, from Algeciras and went over to Ceuta, which is one of the 2 Spanish enclaves in the north of Morocco.
Good answer.
I think you've just clutched victory from the jaws of defeat.
How was it then resolved? How did you end up getting off of the list?
Well, hang on a minute, we're jumping ahead here.
Yeah.
What the hell
He's
did
allowed
you
to do
in
that,
Morocco?
isn't he?
What were you doing? I was travelling with Mohammed.
My client is getting mixed up because at passport control they said you must have a passport. And he's getting a bit mixed up with the names.
I'm curious as to the fact that Interpol has a missing persons list.
Yeah, no, what happened is my parents got involved and they got Interpol involved.
Right.
And I sent a few postcards, one of them, to my friend Mark. And on that postcard I wrote, I've joined the Foreign Legion. Probably see you never again, have a good life or something. And then, Mark being a quite clever boy, so, OK, with this postcard I can have a lot of fun. I go round Henning's parents and say them something along the lines of, Herr Wehn, Frau Wehn, you might be interested in this.
Sorry, so your friend Mark
Yes.
used this postcard to mentally torture your parents? I'll make his parents think he's disappeared forever for a laugh.
Well, it's German sense of humour.
What do we know about this Moroccan chap who we're calling Mohammed?
He hadn't been home for many, many years, and so we couldn't take the boat straight to Morocco. We had to go to one of the Spanish enclaves because he had to collect a suitcase full of books from a cafe in Ceuta.
Why did he have a suitcase full of books?
Because someone left them there for him.
But why books in a suitcase?
Well, it was back in the mid-90s, people were still reading.
So he went to a cafe in the Spanish enclave of Morocco to collect a suitcase which he told you was full of books.
Well, I suppose a friend of his left them there.
Yes, but
why? I mean, you know what it sometimes is like, isn't it? Like, well, I can't quite think of an example.
But if he could, it would be like that.
Yeah. This Interpol list that you were on, can you just elaborate on how your parents got you onto it?
Well, they rang the consulate, and they rang all sorts
consulate?
The German one.
Which German consulate?
Well, the one in Morocco.
They didn't ring the police, they rang the German consulate in Morocco.
Well, that's how you would go about it, wouldn't you? It's no good ringing your local bobby.
And what happens then with the list? Do you just... They have to tell Interpol, stop looking for Henning. We found him.
I suppose so, yeah.
Well, did they? For all we know, they're still
advised-
looking for you now.
I'm safe!
So what do you think, David? Does any of that have the ring of truth, or has he made all that up?
What do you think, Kirsty?
I think it's so odd and inconsistent and unlikely that it must be true.
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards as well.
I think that as well. I think it's true.
Yeah.
Henning, was that the truth, or were you telling a lie?
Well, this story is true.
Yes, it's true. Henning was listed as a missing person by Interpol.
This is Ben. He regularly sends me photos to remind me of the day I went to a train station and fell down the gap.
Oh. Have you never heard the announcers say, mind the gap?
they didn't. And that's the reason why I fell down again.
Where was the train station?
Somewhere out in the sticks.
What time of the day was this?
Daytime.
So daytime in the sticks. Well, that's very specific.
And why did you fall in the gap?
It wasn't my fault because, as Simon pointed out, no one said mind the gap.
Henning, paint us a full picture of the event. You're at the station to catch a train. What happens?
They didn't make an announcement saying mind the gap, and then it's not my fault at that point, is it?
Yes, I understand that. We're not saying it's your fault.
I wasn't alone. No, I was with my bicycle.
Right.
OK, so again, what happened?
Listen, how many more times? There was no announcement.
No, Henning. That's why it happened.
Yeah.
Now, what happened?
Oh, yeah, very good. Very good. I tried to wheel the bicycle onto the train.
Yeah.
The bike got caught in the gap. Wheel spins round. You name it.
You name it. You name it.
The front wheel spins round.
Yeah.
I then put my foot forward to balance myself out.
Yeah.
And my whole leg disappeared.
Right. So your leg, platform, train, your leg is now down the gap.
Yeah.
Does anything else fall down the gap?
My self-esteem.
Where does Ben fit into this? Who is he in relation to you?
It's my mate Ben, who regularly sends me photos to remind me of the day I went to a railway station and fell down again.
OK. First of all, why was Ben with you on this day?
But he wasn't.
Oh, you did?
He sent pictures.
You've never met him up until this point?
I've met Ben many a time, but that's got nothing to do with what happened on the day.
Right. So why was he with you that day?
He wasn't.
So how does he send... Where are the pictures from?
You took photographs of it.
No!
Who did?
He's taking pictures.
Let's not get involved in that.
Let's get involved in that. Who took the photos?
That is neither here nor there, honestly.
I just need a name. Who took the photos?
Nigel.
So Nigel has taken the photograph, and Ben is also a friend of Nigel's, and now Ben has got hold of the photograph, and he keeps sending them to you.
He really, really enjoys to regularly send me pictures of himself on a train. Say, when the doors are open, then Ben will send me a photo of it with the door open going, help. Or what to do now. And
how many times has he sent the photo?
Well, whenever he is in a predicament.
What do you mean?
David, explain to them what I mean.
I just want to say, I'm going to speak on behalf of him.
Thank you.
But firstly, I want to reiterate that Ben caught me fly tipping, but I wasn't fly tipping. But anyway, what Henning is saying is that every time Ben is on a train or getting off a train or in a train-themed scenario, he sends a jokey picture to mock Henning for his stupidity at falling down the gap at a train station merely because on one occasion it wasn't announced.
So that's not what he read earlier.
Read it again. Read it again.
This is Ben.
Carry on.
He regularly...
Yeah? Yes?
Regularly sends me photos to remind me of the day I went to a railway station, choo-choo, and fell down the gap. And that is the last thing I say on that matter. Now please deal with David.
So, you think it's Henning. Ben, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Ben, and yes, it is Henning I send photos to.
Yes, Ben is Henning's mocking mate. And, rather excitingly, we have some photographic evidence. There is Henning. Now, that That's Nigel's picture.
Yeah.
OK? And then here's one now, one of the pictures that Ben then started sending, you see. So that's Ben. You see? Isn't that good? And I think we have another. Well, that is splendid. Thank you very much, Ben.
If I ever get stuck on a crossword clue, I phone Tim Henman for help. He hasn't let me down yet.
Right.
I think that's a very cruel line. He hasn't let me down yet. We all know what that's an allusion to. His repeated letting down of the entire nation. And I think it's, you know, tennis is difficult. And I'd just like to say I wouldn't necessarily have won Wimbledon. Obviously, if I'd practiced as much as Tim Henman, I'd bloody well expect to, but nevertheless. Right, so how do you know Tim Henman?
I met Tim Henman when he was promoting a sort of tennis academy thing, and I went and played tennis with him at Wimbledon.
Did you play at Wimbledon?
Yeah, I should say I was writing about it. It wasn't just like, oh, Victoria Coren's got to come in and play.
You used to ring up Tim Henman to ask him difficult crossword things?
Yeah.
How did you get round that sensitive issue of going 6 down?
So Tim Henman is particularly good at crosswords.
He's got to be good at something.
Once again, I would say that Tim Henman is relatively good at tennis. So he could almost be a professional.
Victoria, I'm curious, of all the people you meet in the course of your job, you choose a tennis player of sorts to advise you on crosswords.
He's very into crosswords.
So you're saying at this point in this clue I can't get, what we need is some of the skills that it takes to, you know, choke during a tie-break.
You're turning against him now, aren't you?
Get your mind up. Which side of the fence are you on?
Yeah. How did the subject of crosswords come up when you were playing
I was doing
this?
a crossword while waiting for him. He was doing
to serve, to get one in.
That's why you kept losing.
I was doing a crossword and he came in and it was kind of a bonding thing because he said, I'm at crosswords, let me have a look.
What do you think, Mackenzie? Do you think it's plausible?
I think it might be plausible, yeah. Cryptic or just regular?
Cryptic. Well, he's not an idiot. You don't bring someone... Oh, yeah, it's got 3 letters, household pet, starts with D.
Cat.
Mackenzie thinks it's plausible. Packham is saying...
I think it's sadly probably true.
Right, so you... Come
so
on.
I don't have to think.
You're saying true? True. OK. So, Victoria...
You think I phoned Tim Henman to ask him the answer to crossword clues? Obviously, that's a lie.
It's a lie. Victoria doesn't phone Tim Henman for help whenever she gets stuck on a crossword clue.
For our first Christmas together as husband and wife, David was startled by one of the gifts I got him.
Please, Tim.
It wasn't making a noise inside the wrapping paper, was it?
What, a puppy?
Well, I was thinking more of a rabbit. So I suppose the big question is, what was the present?
It was, you'll like this, Lee, it was some sexy underwear.
Oh, why would I like that?
I'm always telling Victoria how attractive you find me.
Who was to wear the underwear?
It was... I bought for David to wear.
Look at David's face.
So it's for David. Describe the underwear.
This is very awkward. Describe the... I mean, this genuinely, this is the stuff of nightmare.
Yeah. If it helps in any way, I'm absolutely loving it. All right.
So, David was broadly of the school of... I mean, is this...
This is dreadful.
When men have been single for a long time, they've got their loose cotton boxes. They don't think, oh, I tell you what, I'll have a pair of these snug-fitting trunks.
Can we just...
Is that what we're talking about? So we're not talking about straps and things, and we're not talking about restraining bolts and things like that. Nothing like that.
No.
just going to say, if at times in the future when I face adversity, I will look back and say, well, at least I'm not going through this.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
This is so much better than dustbins.
So it's Christmas morning. It's your first Christmas together as a married couple. You hand him this package. He opens it. Talk us through the moment of realisation.
He sort of went, oh, it's underpants. And then he realised they were a bit clingy and possibly, in David's mind, somewhat French, you know.
How long did it take before he wore them?
Has he ever worn them?
Oh, yes. From that day forward, that was his new style of choice.
So even as we speak, he sat there now with something clinging to his midriff.
I'm so sorry.
So it wasn't like his main present, there was other stuff?
There was some other stuff.
Can you remember anything else that you'd got in
You
there?
know, some books and a DVD and...
What were the books?
Well...
The Bible and 50 Shades of Grey.
So, Melvin, what do you make of this?
I'm just excited.
What do we think? Truth or lie?
So, what do you think, Alex?
I could imagine you'd definitely be startled by it, but...
That bit... If David's worn the same pair of pants all of his life until that moment, and I suspect he
The
has.
same pair
The
of...
same type of pants.
I think it's true.
You do?
So, Melvin thinks it's true. Alex?
I hope it's true.
You're going to say that it's true. OK, they think it's true. Victoria, was it true or was it a lie?
It is true.